Okay, friends, ladies and gentlemen, it is turn 54 and we are going in. Uh, the order is attack and the word is given. So we will talk extensively about what the war plan with Tien'Chi and our movement system from here is. As is my way, I'm going to talk about the less important stuff first, get it out of the way, and then we can talk about the real meat of this episode. So we got the boots. We'll look at those when we look at Endgame. We finished Evocation. This was our real prerequisite for us going. So we're going. We have Flames from the Sky. That's all we needed. We got 3 more Liches. We cast Dome of Flaming Death, I believe. Yep, here in Tapanete. Now, if I was a teleporter coming in from Relay and I had range, I might think this is a useful target because it has relatively few defenders. Ermor 2 can reach it by teleport. Relay would struggle, but no chances. Dome of Flaming Death is now up. We cast Iron Walls at Eagle Reach Mountains. So Eagle Reach Mountains now has, the 1250 wall integrity that we wanted. We've taken the boosters off there and we're casting it elsewhere this turn. No reason not to continue with defensive preparations while we attack. In fact, that's a imperative. Search for magic sites. Dueled with Ermor. Ermor hilariously decided to go the one place he knew I wouldn't and catch his army, and has moved into Machakan territory. So that's great. In fact, it might convince people that Ermor is still a going concern if they're not communicating particularly well. We'll reclaim this province. He'll move back, probably take one of these, or he might invade Machaka and try and take a lab. If he can take a lab, he can restock his gems and actually become a threat again. But that seems unlikely. We're going to move a bunch of forces back up here, which is where we can hedge our bets as to where we go next. If I end my nap with Ulm, it will probably be next turn. I know it's a bit late, but I want to know how the attack on TC goes first. What else happened? This is some dueling, some minor battles between Ulm and Vanarus. And this is, we lost a Lich to a larger than expected force, so we didn't send enough stuff, basically. They sent a lot more stuff and kill the Lich, but that's okay, he'll come back, and I'll learn my lesson and send like 6 Liches next time. And there was Battle in Calum, so we lost 1 Sapphire killing their god. So obviously the god can kill an infinite number of unbuffed Hatun Runa, but if you bring late game Nazcan magic, then I don't care what your buff cycle is, like the Arzi drops in, and then the Sapphires start stabbing it, basically. At this stage, we haven't got all of our buffs up. We've stunned it. That's great, because it has no shock resist. Oh, that's right, I forgot about that. Yeah, so it got Fate Woven, which meant it was almost certainly going to get shocked badly. It's getting shocked badly, and the Sacreds will just kill it with chippy shock damage. Oh, and we Lightning Bolt for bonus points. So it's dead. Rip Arzi. Rip Military Industrial Complex. Nasagen, I know you never would have done that. It's just the AI. Don't judge him by what the AI did. And Asphodel, who is resurgent, has moved in a giant stack to reclaim some Kalian territory. So that's all happening. A few random events. I'm not even going to look at the random events. They don't matter. Let's talk about what we're doing this turn. So, there's a couple of aspects to this operation. Our key objectives is to secure the throne, carve out every province around the throne insofar as we can, and the reason we want to do that is to slow the passage of reinforcements from anywhere else in Tien'Chi into the throne province. We just want to take it, hold it, shield it, which we will do as well as we can. We also need to generate room between our throne in Jebro and Ermor. This is important to stop Ermor realizing we're throne rushing and rolling in. And every province that we hold is a province you can't skip over with movement unless you're a flyer, and these people don't fly. So we're just going to create as much room as possible. Let's talk about the southern front first. So we're casting Iron Walls in this province. We're throwing a whole bunch of groups out to generate that space as I was talking about. So we're going to send the Hatun group to Hippoboche. Probably, like, it may or may not win, but Hippoboche is a bit of a diversion anyway, because if you look at it, like, this fort's closer to us anyway. This is just a distraction. We're clearing room and moving more Hatuns in behind it. We're moving Hatuns in here to provide a sort of a screening force. Sacreds are moving up here. And I think we've got Sacred, so we've got a Lich group that's going to take 285, and then a Sacred group is going to take 306. This carves off this entire chunk of TC to shield our throne a little bit. We've cleared the Shinuyamans to move up into 320, and 3, and the Phaeacians, you can see, are in position to seize these provinces here. Now, coordinating with them, we know that we're talking to them and tracking where the army is. We know this army has moved off this province, and we're basically now relying on them for our intelligence. You can see there's this big army here. The god is in Tien'Chi itself. Well, it's not big, it's moderate. The god is in Tien'Chi. There's about 40 units, mostly Imperial Geomancers in Epernia, whereas Ermor's biggest threat is the 1,180 units, including their god, and presumably some sacreds and mages that are sitting in Red Waste. This force here doesn't look anywhere near as threatening. So, what are we doing about that? So, I've renamed a lot of our casters. We're deploying the Liches as part of the screening force, but not all of them, and we're casting Lichcraft again to make sure we still have enough to ward off Ys. We've got Flames from the Sky going in on 20 Great Woods. We're doing this because Shinuyama has confirmed that big army that was there, that's where it is. So the big death stack of Tien'Chi with all of their sacreds and I think it's up to 30 Geomancers or whatever, they're all hanging out at Great Woods, and forts provide no protection for Flames from the Sky. So we're casting Flames from the Sky, and that's our nice little friendly handshake to Shinuyama. It also means that if there is a lab here and those mages want to teleport out to help out here in limited numbers, but maybe they're able to do it, or they have someone big enough to gateway or something, there'll be fewer people because they'll be dead. That's usually a pretty good way to prevent people teleporting on you. Kill them. So we're going to do that. We also have other Flames from the Sky casters going off in various positions. Let me find out where those are. I think they're up north, and yep, okay, here. So ICBM over here. ICBM and IRBM are the designations I'm using for my different types of Flames from the Sky caster. He's in Tien'Chi. So this is a 50-50. This is a coin flip. There's a 50-50 chance, actually a little bit lower because it's a commander, that we hit Vortikai the Demilich. So we might hit their Pretender. Maybe 30% chance we hit the Pretender. If we hit the Pretender, it'll die. Demilich has jack all HP, so even with a full Dominion bonus for being a Pretender god, if it hits him, he'll die. They have 5 HP or something like that, and that's Flames from the Sky does significantly more than that in armor-piercing flame damage, and you know how well undead generally agree with fire. So there's a chance we'll take him out. If we take him out, we remove the inevitable teleport Wind of Death strike there. We also have a caster here, IRBM. IRBM is hitting Epernia, 55, with the goal of killing a bunch of Imperial Geomancers and just weakening this fortress a little bit. We're not going to mess up the Communion because I doubt they'll be patrolling. Ideally, they'd be patrolling and this would kill them, and then we'd land and then their Communion would be messed up and they'd all self-destruct. But, this is Headless, man. No rookie mistakes will be made. At that point, we're throwing screening forces out. So, Sapaya's going into the water. The stealth Condors will lock down this fortress. Sacreds will take down 46. That's where the sneak attack is coming from. Could hit 48, but that would require them to have units that can move through here, and leaving this open makes it very predictable where they'll come through, and I wanted to concentrate here anyway. What are we doing here? So we're moving the big army in. This is a big army, and it's a lot of what you've been seeing to date. It's mostly made up of the force that fought Ermor with a little bit of reinforcement in terms of even more mages. So it's a communion-based buff force, but that's going to be sufficient if he's not patrolling, and even if he is patrolling, I think I have so many birds that even if he starts magic dueling my mages and taking down my buffs, there's not enough defenders here for me to even need them, and my birds will drop on his old men and hit them in the head with maces, which is not good for Imperial Geomancers. They're good at being really effective droppers of rocks from the sky and very bad at being melee combatants with triple veterancy Hatun Runa, whose skin is made of gold. So that'll happen, and I reckon we'll take it and breach it. We're not revealing Endgame. Endgame is going in stealth mode. The banner, which will give astral boosting, which I don't want to reveal because in case there are Geomancers patrolling, and because we have no purpose without Endgame engaged, is also stealthing in. And because you can't patrol out people the turn your fort is taken, there is 0 chance of detection as long as we win. And if we don't win, well, we have bigger problems. The armor that Endgame will eventually wear is currently being worn by this Amazonian sorceress. She's wearing this Hydra skin armor, which will give regeneration to endgame once I hand that over, which allowed me to go with Amulet of Resilience and Boots of Callius the Druid. So this gives us a lovely reinvigoration value of 15 on encumbrance 5. Spellcasting encumbrance 9. So, and of course, endgame isn't casting every turn because endgame's casting very large spells and will get a significant discount. So endgame's gearing is now complete, with the exception that the armor will swap off once endgame is in position. So it's Astral 6, actually Astral 7, actually Astral 8. We gave a Frostbrand not because we wanted to stab anything, but because we wanted some cold resistance. So we're now Awe 7, Invulnerable 30, Shock Resist 22, Fire Resist 22, Cold Resist 5, Poison Resistance 15, Fire Shield, Sight Vengeance, Reinvigoration 15, and of course you can cast Phoenix Pyre. And Army of Gold will affect endgame as well as everything else. So endgame will actually have 27 fire resistance and like shitloads of protection. And the Hydra armor that we're bringing in has better protection than the Shade Mail, I believe. So tough SC, not a pure SC build, a super caster more than a super combatant, but still extraordinarily tough enough that I am confident. That is our plan of attack there. Secure the space around here, take the throne. Meanwhile, we're positioning, you see we're bringing in more and more forces and mages to position against Ulm. As I said, next turn I'll be cancelling the non-aggression pact. We'll have forces moved up here and in reserve while we shadow Ermor. If Ermor comes back over, that's okay. At this point, we're just putting siege defense in our forts, and we'll just hold up the fort walls against Ermor and be like, yeah, come at me, bro. You can stand outside my walls. They'll never go anywhere because they don't need supplies because they're undead, but if they can't get inside, I don't care. And I can shadow them. This force is mostly non-threatening to me now because it's out of gems, and without gems, it's not worth catching it because even if it does break a fort, if it breaks a fort with significant mages inside, which will be the only one that matters, which is the throne, it'll lose. It'll lose to Firestorm. Like that's the counter to Ermor at this point. Unless Ermor can get Army of Gold, and Ermor does not have Army of Gold or anything near it, or like Fire Fend plus some protection. Because even with Fire Resistance 5, Firestorm will eventually burn through you a lot of the time when you're very low HP like Undead are. Then, for the low armor ones anyway, the armored ones will survive a significant period of time. So that's it. Am I nervous? I'm nervous mostly about the diplomatic shit fight that's going to happen the moment people hear that I've attacked Tien'Chi, because they'll know there's a throne here, they'll know there's a risk. Hopefully they don't communicate just how, that I've taken it straight away. This will still have some surprise because I'm jumping over someone else to do it. I expect everyone to start cancelling naps at that point, at which point I'll be on the clock. But if I can then cancel my nap with Ulm in retaliation, then I can move such that I'll be hitting him at the same time everyone else can start hitting me, and I'll be in a very good position. But yeah, no, I'm not particularly nervous. I'm in a very, very strong position. I have lots of income. My army is huge. I've got all the research I need. My gem income is exceptionally high. Look at that. That's incredible. And I'm producing 70 sacreds per turn, which is really cool. So we'll see what happens. I'm still going to keep forging items and summoning units and building up my forces as if this game is going to go for a long, long time. But really, this is a big throw of the dice here. The attack on Tien'Chi will really make or break the next few turns. And we'll see if this plan, unlike most plans in history, survives first contact with the enemy. See you next turn. Okay, it is turn 55 and our attacks have taken place. Now there's a lot happening this turn, but the only thing we really need to focus on is how our war against Tien'Chi is going. And the first thing I want to do is a sort of a bomb damage assessment. So we cast Flames from the Sky. We cast it 3 times. The heavens opened up and balls of flame fell down on enemy army camps and evaporated, thousands and thousands of men. Let's see how we did. We hit the primary TC army at Great Woods, 125 units killed. So that was here. Now that army presumably moved somewhere else. I think that's it here at Omikria. It was 300 and something units. It's now 160 after being sort of cut down to size by that attack there. Then there was an attack on Tien'Chi itself, 24 units killed. That's a much lower kill count, but I'm not seeing a report on a Demi-Lich here anymore, which means there's relatively good odds that we hit. This could be an error on scouting, but the more probable outcome is that Vortikai, who is admittedly an Immortal 3 and will come back in a couple of months, was hit by the spell and killed, which means we will not be getting Wind of Death this turn. The third and final cast of Flames from the Sky. Did I miss one? Here we are, Epernia, which is the Throne Province. 11 units were killed, but almost all the units in this province were mages, which means we probably killed a good, maybe 6 or 7 Imperial Geomancers, which were underpinning the communion that will be underneath this, and that has made that communion a lot less threatening. So all in all, I think those 3 casts were entirely worth it. What else did we do? Let's not talk about defense yet. Let's talk about the attacks. And as you can see, there are a lot of battles this turn. So we'll just have a look at Facier's army quickly. So Facier has moved in with a heck of a force. So they have a few Colossi light infantry, and then they have... Let me see if I can get my squares correctly. Nefele, semi-geared. Am I getting my squares wrong here? Sorry, I'm apparently incapable of clicking accurately. Aela, who is their prophet, who is again geared up. Anyway, so there's 3 air queens here. And we've got a mixture of air elementals, infantry. These can cast all the buffs they want. They're thugged out. Like, nothing's going to stop this. So, very clear that this is going all Facier's way. I don't know how they'd stop this. You might drop Gifts from Heaven on the queens. Sorry, there's only 2 queens. I was just confused by the mirror image. There are only 2 queens here. You could hit them with Gifts from Heaven, but they're ethereal, so 75% mischance if you hit them. So, pretty good odds, and I'm sure... If I was him, I would be trying to make them lucky, but it doesn't look like he has the mages here. But 19 Storm Captains means that if Storm goes up, so if Gem use is triggered, you can get some interesting evocations out of these guys, or they might all be light thugging, but I think they're there to cast. Then we launched a series of attacks. So we launched some raids and movements against. It's probably better to look at these from the map. So we moved in. We took Epernia. No resistance, broke the fort. We took Dunster, lost a few Condors, broke the fort, and we're storming. We took this province without much resistance, and we took Green Sea without resistance. So on the northern front, what we're going to do this turn is we're going to move up more reinforcements. We're going to seal off Blackdale in case there's a forced march from the capital into this province, which is probably as close as they can get. We're going to seize 81 and 56. Just because we may as well start carving off their income stream, and since we're storming Dunster this turn with this Inca, we're moving the Huron off. We don't need the Huron. This is just going to be a straight Condor assault because we don't think there's any mages inside. Dunster will actually give us income off these provinces, even if we don't take Epernia. So we will improve our economy as we go, but mostly this is about screening and keeping up the shock and awe. Always assume that things might go wrong any moment. And if this rush fails, then I want as much of this economy as possible to keep sustaining me, because as you can see, our upkeep is climbing precipitously. Meanwhile, we're storming this fortress. We're storming it with everything. We've done the switcheroo, so Endgame won't be visible on their turn files because Endgame is currently in stealth mode. But for the purpose of this turn, Endgame will suddenly appear out of nowhere with regen 10%, which is enough. A heckload of gems, and then if you have a look at the casting, here we are. We're going Time Stop, Phoenix Pyre because I'm paranoid, then Will of the Fates, Mist of Deception, which is the Howl spell for Phantasmal Warriors, and then Body Ethereal, and then spells. So just survivability for the moment because we've got all of this, all the communion with us. We might re-gear next turn if there are significant losses. And in this communion, we have all sorts of stuff. So we've got a turn 1 Fog Warriors. I brought a Staff of Elemental Mastery and a Winged Helmet. I have so many gems that my gearing is now really excessive. So this is a +2 air on an air 3 special Snowflake Inca, which gives us turn 1 Fog Warriors, followed by Arrowfen once they wake up. But Fog Warriors is what I really care about. in here somewhere, well, yeah, Army of Gold. Lot of we got a couple of Uklas that I've just given jars and are just going to be Pillar of Fire casters. So they Phoenix Power using the jar and then cast Pillar of Fire, which is great at taking out really rough like point targets with a lot of damage and fatiguing out everything in an area of effect. We've got Relief and Serpent's Blessing. I don't expect him to have Foul Vapors, but hey, we're not taking any chances at this point. So that's all happening. The Firestorm will go up around the same time that Army of Gold goes up, and that will burn his units to ash, and then there's Will of the Fates obviously going off as well. So this tanky army should seize Epernia. There's not much chance of anything intervening other than teleport strikes, and with the Demi-Lich out of the way, I don't have to script a turn 0 anti-Demi-Lich script, which would include anti-magic here. I can focus on making the army as deadly as possible and making sure I don't lose endgame, who is going into battle at Astral 6 plus Astral 7, and the banner is out, so Astral 8. That's good. Okay, Southern Front. A little more give and take here, but that's okay. So we seized 2 provinces here, and then we also took Pantocrator's bounty. However, we lost in Omicria, I believe. Yes, so here we just raided. It was just a Sapphire raiding group. This is less than one's turn's production. But he brought a full army. And Sapphires are cool. Like, Sapphires are awesome. But not going to be able to deal with an army this size because this happens. Gifts from Heaven is the best spell in the game. Just visually, it is the best spell in the game. Anyway, so my priest got slaughtered. So yeah, most of his losses in this battle were, I believe, friendly fire. Yeah, so I killed nothing. He lost 6 units, 5 of which were Red Guards. The Red Guards always die, man. Anyway, this is a powerful army that moved into exactly the wrong spot, but that's fine. I didn't need those Sapphire anyway. I've got more. They're sort of moving around, disengaging from this, because this is now no longer mission critical for me. This is too far away from any throne to intervene, so it's unimportant. I'm going to go fall back and screen against Urmor, because Urmor is closer at this point, 1-2. So we're going to focus on screening out Urmor at this point. We're mostly taking up a defensive stance around this province. You can see lots of these Hatun groups that are set to defend rather than patrol, and that's because their entire role in life is to hold up the walls. We're not even patrolling anymore. We're saying, come siege me. I'll hold up my walls, 125 wall defense, and that is just fine. Great. So what else happened? There are all those battles, raiding with Urmor, Asphodel continuing to smack Calum around, some unexpected events, killed some scouts, continuing to chase down Urmor in the Urukian front, which doesn't matter. So what are we doing what are we doing in big terms this turn? So we are storming, and the idea is next turn we'll be able to claim. We've also got the artillery firing again, but in slightly different places to last time. We're actually moving, because we don't have enough fire gems, we're moving some of those casters forward to provide additional support. We're cloud trapezing, we're moving in. Everything next turn will be focused on holding this province against, I don't know what will materialize. It may be nothing, but I want to be prepared anyway. We're also falling back a bunch of units here to do exactly the same thing here. Now, Ys. Ys basically in chat declared war in Discord in front of everyone. Was just like come at me. Which is a bit of a shock considering we had a peace arrangement, but like the messages were fairly unambiguous. I'm presuming they feel that because this is a potential rush, they feel not obligated. Anyway, so we're launching what I said before. We're launching Liches, Yisun Sin, and some non-renamed guys. Eugene of Savoy and a non-renamed guy. We're dropping some Sapphires in the water over here. Just going to build a buffer. I don't think this force will be able to break this throne, obviously. And we're also launching some Hatun groups just to be a nuisance over here and cause as much trouble as we can and just buy ourselves some time. I'm not seriously thinking about how this war with Ys will go. I'm just focused on holding them off. On the same tune, we're casting the Wrath of God. So this will bump one of these, hopefully, but we're overcasting with as much as we could muster. and casting Wrath of God. The idea here is everyone who comes into our dominion to take our thrones will be facing at least some of our dominion, and the lightning will strike, and it'll just be an attritional nightmare for people, especially if we can spread our dominion. And our dominion is pretty strong at this point. We've got a dominion strength 9 and 20 temples. So we are coughing our dominion up all over the place, and considering Caelim's god was just vanquished, we're hoping our dominion will spread out and fill this void quicker than anyone else's, hopefully link up over here, and we'll get this nice defensive barrier. I considered casting Seas of Ice, but I used that all on spellcasting and Naiads instead. Sea of Ice was going to be my plan A for containing these guys, but I ultimately reasoned that Relay is a teleporting and gateway nation and is already partly on land anyway, and Ys, well, I'd rather just take the offense with Ys. I'd rather just go underwater and raid them, counter-raid them, and deal with that as much as possible. So we're in a good position. All in all, I would say that the attacks on Tien'Chi are so far going really well. Facier's offensive is going well. Shiniyama's offensive is slower, but also going well after them being bottled up the whole game. So I'm glad to be able to repay the favours to my friends over here. But my attack here is going superbly. I don't think there's anything that will stop me in time. Now, I might have to... The plan was that I would have to hold this for quite a while. The plan was, around now, I would cancel my non-aggression pact with Ulm and be in a position to move in and take their throne when that expired. And in the meantime, my focus would have to be on holding this province for dear life against whatever YetAgainUntoTheBreach could throw together against me. And I don't care to predict what that would be, because YetAgainUntoTheBreach knows this game better than I do and knows better what the library of options available is. However, there is a factor which speaks against that. So let's look over here. Ulm is smacking Vanarus up. Ulm has taken all of these Machakan and Vanarushian forts. Ulm has carved up this sort of territory here. Ulm is right up... That's Vanarus there, by the way. So there is one province between Ulm and the Vanarushian cap. And this is the Vanarushian throne, which Ulm looks like... If I was Ulm, I would sidestep. I wouldn't go into this wasteland and starve. I would sidestep onto the throne, crack that, just move the front line forward. Because again, when you're relying on troops and mastersmiths as Ulm, you don't need temples in your fortresses. So if you take a fort with a lab in it, you can recruit mages and you can recruit black plate infantry at the front lines with no more infrastructure. It's great. Now, he's built a temple here, but all of these provinces that he has taken are now mage and troop production centers. So Ulm gets a more instant benefit out of taking your fortresses than you do from taking theirs, because you presumably have priest mages, like most nations in dominions. Anyway, Ulm is deploying a combination of death stacks, which are way geared in terms of, like, we've got astral support, we've got nature support, sort of hillbilly nature communions with crystal gear going on. Over here, we've got just troop raiding, and there's also Iron Angel raiding that he's been dropping all over the place. Now, he has Earth Kings facing GC, I believe, and he has Iron Angels facing Vanarus. And also making up his strategic reserve, I think, are Iron Angels as well. And you can see over here, look, an Iron Angel raided this province, except there's a problem. It was my province. It was a Nazcan province. So we had a nap, and now we don't. Ulm, you stuffed up.